we're carrying on filming. You have to excuse us. We're looking at building 432, and 432, this is the hydraulic props, and here you have open to the elements, and when you look, the wind coming through and the photon and the light wave, the photon wave, light wave is also a form of pollution, which is what you can see, and they're going onto the hydraulic vents, the hydraulic props, to where the plates are. Now if I just quickly take you, and I hope City Hall can hear. Right, we're going to have a look, and we have a look here, and there, that's the building 432, and what you can observe is residue reading from here. The light waves or photons would go and onto the metallic strut. You can see that there, and it's corroded. It's partly corroded, so they're different at different annotation. Here you can see corrosion through the metal, and it's plate number A607. So I hope those in City Hall can go and have a look at this plating. It's here, the EIIL plate, E2L plate, and here we have the plating. So when you look here, the same thing is corroded. They're corroded, and the stress fractures here, but you can see the photon residue from the wind elements, and you're already looking at corrosion on the plate. They can go through the metal. There's no barrier, is there? So light photon, weathering, and the wind elements have corroded the plate in Plaza building 432. It's about time City Hall stepped up and go and do their job. That's the work of City Hall. Right. So you have corrosion and stress fractures. So the problem I have in paying 100 million is this doable? Is it a doable given building? Or was it that they wanted to just get away with being as minimalist as possible? It looks very light, but you can already see the corrosion. And you already see also the photon wave from the ionosphere. So the photon wave, looking at the corrosion of the bolts by the look of it, and that's what we can see. I hope we can all see that, members of the committee and members of City Hall. It's not like some Blagojevich type office where you don't look at these things. It's the responsibility of City Hall to maintain QA and standards, new builds in the City of New York and the State of New York. The problem I have is you have natural airflow, but this contemporary form of architecture is where you have anomalies. It's about time City Hall send in the regulator to go and have a look. Right, so now we're going to go and look in limited displaced imaging. And limited displaced imaging, you have the residue, as I mentioned, that photon trace and the given structure in the metal where you have corrosion, and the corrosion has been embedded in the concrete and the metal. And on the hydraulic you have the same thing, but on the actual bolts, they're heavily corroded already there. Right, so we go along the other plating and you have the same thing. Now you can't see much in limited displacement, but we're going to go in occlusion. We go in occlusion imaging and we see through the metal. We'll see through the metal there. Now what can you see? We see the stress fractures, and we also see, like what I mentioned before, that open wind coming through, two levels to which indeed where the wind comes through, isn't it? Right. But here you can see the stress fractures in the metallic plating. Yeah. So where you have the plates, they're heavily corroded, and heavily corroded on that side as well. It's the same due diligence if you're looking at an aircraft carrier or the likes of a Nimitz, or the likes of measuring photon pollution and nuclide in any topography environment. So members of the committee, what we see in building 432 are serious structural anomalies, meaning that it looks like a nice design, but in practicality terms, the bolts are already corroded and they'd have to be replaced, or you have to have a new plating which is thicker and more durable, and they should have some sort of like a net or a wind anti-EMF type plume net, to which blocks out the wind. You have residue readings coming through, and you have the wind, the rain, the snow, and it corrodes the metallic ore. Now we look through the metal. Yes, it does. We can look through the metal and we see the props. You see the props. Here, you don't get triangle wind shears, do you? No, you don't. So it's obvious that whatever these are holding up are corroded. And behind the plating is what? Yeah, it's structured, isn't it? So that means it's a structured plume wave coming from where? Coming from up there in the ionosphere. Yeah, so the wind, the light photons also corrode metallic ore. Exactly. And that's what you have. On that side, the same thing. It's the same thing. You have corrosion, which is why I stopped the film, because I thought there was something not quite equable. And as you can appreciate, the photons are going through the metal, it's going through the concrete, and structurally, it may look fairly good, but it's already corroding. And there you have the given seismic readings that City Hall should be registering or going and having a look to see how bad the problem is. You can see it in thermal imaging as to the structural given strength of these plates and how doable these bolts are, because weathering and corrosion will actually render them useless. They'll probably fall out, or they won't be able to handle the stress load, the given pressure density. There you go. That's all I really wanted to say. It's the work of City Hall. But when you're paying 100 million for an apartment, that's a lot of money. You want to make sure where you live is a doable place. Thank you for taking the time and endeavoured effort to listening.